Jai Sri Radhe. Now we will discuss about Mirza Aziz Koka. Mirza Aziz Koka was Akbar's foster brother. He rebelled against Akbar because of Akbar's despotic behavior. Aziz Koka refused to have his horses branded with the imperial mark. This imperial mark was introduced by Akbar, and it indirectly meant that you are a slave of Akbar. So, apprehensive of Akbar's vengeance, he, Mirza, left for Diu in Daman Diu, on the pretext of capturing it from the Portuguese. But instead, he set sail in 1593 AD for Mecca via Hejaz, with his many wives and a dozen sons and daughters to seek spiritual solace for his harried soul. But far from getting any solace even there, since he was shamelessly pleased by the Muslim priest in the temple of Kaaba in Mecca, so he unwillingly returned to spend the rest of his life in Akbar's court, thinking it to be a better place than Mecca. With his attachment to Islam much cooled down, he died disgruntled, disappointed, and disillusioned in the 19th year of Jahangir's reign at Ahmedabad after many vicissitudes in his fortune. Now let us discuss about Abdul Rahim Khan Khana. Abdul Rahim Khan Khana was the son of Behram Khan. 4-year-old Abdul Rahim's father, Behram Khan, was murdered at Akbar's instance, though Behram Khan had been Akbar's faithful and jealous guardian. After the murder of Behram Khan, the toddler Abdul Rahim was brought to Akbar's court, along with his mother Salima Sultan, who had thereafter willingly to play wife to Akbar. Unmindful of the murder of his father and abduction of his widowed mother by Akbar, and exposed to a treacherous court life, Abdul Rahim spent his lifetime fighting the battles of Akbar and reliving the sorrow and tedium of his life by writing poems. He was born at Lahore in 964 AH. Abdul Rahim's motto was that, quote, one should hurt one's enemies under the marks of friendship, unquote. All the other courtiers of Akbar court charge him with maliciousness and faithlessness. He lies buried in Delhi near the so-called Humayun's tomb in an erstwhile Hindu mansion which he had occupied when living. He lies buried in his own residence. The Hindu Shakti Chakra means the esoteric design made of two interlocked triangles may still be seen adorning each of the four facades of that mansion. From its dome adorned with blue Hindu tiles in the fashion of the Hindu palace in Gwalior Fort, it is called Nil Burj by Muslims from the time that it came under their occupation. Now let us discuss about Birbar or Birbal. Birbar is often referred to as Birbal in popular parlance. The two words are quite different. Birbar means a top-class warrior. Birbal means the strength of a warrior. In contemporary Muslim chronicles, the name Birbar is used. He was born in 1528 AD in a poor Brahmin family. His original name was Mahesh Das. As a young boy, he joined the entourage of Raja Bhagwan Das of Amber in Jaipur state. When Akbar ascended the throne, Bhagwan Das presented Birbal to Akbar. At that time, Mahesh Das means Birbal used to style himself as Brahma Kavi, means poet of the universe. He rose from a menial position at court to the rank of a grandee because in him Akbar found a ready tool and a perfect factotum ready to execute any job or man at Akbar's command. Like Abdul Rahim, Mahesh Das means Birbal also used to relieve the agony of his heart by composing poems. In 1574, he was sought to be foisted as the ruler of Nagarkot in supersession of Nagarkot's lawful ruler Jaichand. It was a common high-handed practice of Akbar to will away a reigning Hindu monarch's kingdom to its own puppet and set him off, backed with imperial Muslim might as a rival of the reigning Hindu king. It was in one such move that Birbal was instigated to lead an expedition to storm Nagarkot if he wanted to be acknowledged as its ruler. Birbal led the expedition, in which the sacred Hindu idol in its main temple and the idol's canopy was riddled with Muslim missiles. The invaders slaughtered 200 cows, and filling their shoes with the blood of the slaughtered cows, splashed the temple walls. Despite such atrocities, Birbal could not be hoisted on the Nagarkot throne. As a sop, he is said to have been offered some gold and a jagir at Kalanjar, but he was not permitted to enjoy even that. In 1583, he was ordered to lead an expedition against the rebellious Yusufani Afghans on Hindustan's northwest frontier. He was slain in that expedition. The self-appointed court chronicler Badayuni, in rabidly fanatic and surly Islamic style, remarks that, quote, Birbal the infidel dog joined the other infidels in hell in just retribution for his many misdeeds, unquote. Badayuni uses the same intemperate and abusive language when referring to the death of any Hindu. For instance, in referring to the deaths of Raja Bhagwan Das and Todarmal in Lahore within 5 days of one another in November 1589, Badayuni pouts that, quote, the two hastened to the abode of hell and torment, and in the lowest pit became the food of serpents and scorpions. May God scorch them both, unquote. Badayuni seems to be unaware of the implication of his listing the Hindus who, according to him, went to hell. This bastard, Mia Badayuni, could not have been so sure unless he himself was the first to arrive at the gate of hell, to be able to make a meticulous list of all the Hindus whom he thought a Muslim Allah consigned to the Islamic hell. Some chief stories of Akbar Birbal, repartees and witticisms current in Bharat have been invented by some ingenious writer and added to from time to time by others, giving them a historical Akbar Birbal background. The real Birbal led a horrid, precarious and deeply detested existence, far removed from any humor or poetry. Now let us discuss about Tansen. Tansen was born sometime in 1531-32 AD in a Brahmin family in Bihat village, 28 miles away from Gwalior. He received his early training in music in Gwalior, which had a tradition of high-class Hindu music. Tansen has attained legendary fame as a vocal musician par excellence. A saint musician, Haridas, in Vrindavan, is also said to have imparted tuition in music to Tansen. He took up service as a court musician with Raja Ramachandra of Bhatta, modern Rewa district. It was there that he received the title of Tansen because of his mastery in singing. In 1562 AD, when Akbar invaded that Hindu kingdom, Tansen was wrested away. Mia Badayuni says, quote, Tansing did not wish to leave his royal Hindu patron. Finally, a fierce Muslim general, Jalal Khan Kurchi, came and brought him to a sense of duty, unquote. Tansen is often flaunted as an example of Akbar's encouragement to music, but that is a bogus claim. Tansen was already an accomplished musician before being dragged to Akbar's court. In fact, his expertise in music proved to be his undoing. Far from improving, Tansen's music lost its sacred Hindu character and acquired the profligacy of a court where music was associated with drunken revelries and prostitution. A disconsolate Tansen sobbed loudly and piteously when abducted to Akbar's court. As part of a huge ransom in men, women, gold, gems, cavalry and footmen that Ramchandra had to surrender to buy peace from Akbar's ravaging armies. At Akbar's court, Tansen came to grief. Stories of fanatic Muslims at court thrusting half-chewed, filthy morsels of betel leaf from their own mouth into the mouths of Tansen, opening to sing his melodies, may well be true. Shunned by Orthodox Hindus and dragged and addressed as Mia in Muslim style, Tansen has been willy-nilly represented as a Muslim, though till the end of his life he remained Hindu. Tansen died in 1588 AD after a tormented career of 26 years forced singing at an alien monarch's court. He lies buried in an erstwhile temple pavilion near Muhammad Ghauz's temple tomb at the foot of Gwalior's fort. The entire area where these two lie buried is strewn with ruins of a huge temple complex ravaged in several centuries of Muslim onslaughts before Akbar. Like thousands of other sacred Hindu sites throughout India and West Asia, the temples at the foot of Gwalior Fort too were reduced to a Muslim cemetery. They are not original Muslim tombs but misused Hindu temples. Now let's discuss about the last gem, Hakim Humam. Hakim Humam, the superintendent of Akbar's royal kitchen, is also classified as one of the 9 gems. It was but natural that he should be bracketed as a gem in a court where food and drink were highly coveted. As a kitchen superintendent, he had to supervise the preparations of palatable dishes, lest he lose his life. But Mia Badayuni's statements that, quote, Akbar suspected Hakim Humam to have poisoned him, unquote, is evident enough that Hakim Humam, like everybody else, hated Akbar. The very fact that Humam is hardly ever mentioned in any standard history is eloquent proof of his insignificance. Thus, the 9-gem story is a sheer invention of court flatterers who shout their favor for self-aggrandizement. Thus, the so-called 9 gems all turn out to be, on closer scrutiny, lustreless, base, opportunist coal pieces, involuntarily embroiled in a game of mutual hate. They all lead miserable lives, disgusted with their lot. I have already said that Akbar considered none of his courtiers to be worthy of any merit. On their part, the courtiers too deeply hated Akbar, as is reflected in their dealings with him. So even the 9-gem story, far from shedding any luster on Akbar's regime, adds a new dimension to its notoriety.